Greetings, Masters. I am Metatron, Lord of Light, and we welcome each of you to a vector of unconditional love. We speak on a fascinating topic at this moment. Dear human, life never ends. Many of you fear your death, more than you may wish to admit. Whether or not you spend much time contemplating life after death, all of you at some point in your life will question what will happen when you die, and what will be waiting for you on the other side. Even those who have determined that nothing exists after physical life have ironically given it much thought. So we wish to speak on the death experience, and Masters, as you read the words of this channeled message, you are offered the reception of subtle intuitive catalysts, intuitive activating codes that are part of the frequency of this sharing, frequencies that are meant to assist you in expanding your own intuitive abilities. Your current patriarchal religions tell you that at death, there is either heaven or hell. We would tell you otherwise. Dear ones, there is no fatalistic end with a final judgment resulting in eternal reward or eternal punishment. In fact, there is no end. Life is ever expanding. Death is not a fearful experience to dread. What you term as death is a rebirth into your greater reality, and in many ways is quite an exquisite, beautiful awakening. In truth, birth into the physical realm is far more traumatic than the return to the angelic realm. Indeed, the passing from physical may be appropriately described as coming home. Certain extraordinary expansions of reality are innate to being in a far wider horizon, one that offers much greater sensitivity and understandings. At the moment of your passing, your spiritual essence exits the physical body and enters your etheric form. In some circumstances, you will actually float above your physical body and view the room below you. All of you have experienced death on many more occasions than you may realize. Your consciousness leaves the physical organism in various ways, according to the myriad conditions of transition, whether it is by illness, senility, or a sudden death such as an automobile accident. In cases such as senility, severe coma, and Alzheimer's disease, consciousness may pass entirely into the afterlife realm, even though the physical biology remains alive. Physical death can also occur in a graduated process. For those that pass over at the end of an illness, the passing process will often occur in an intermittent lapsing, a fragmented, staged transfer of consciousness, in which transits out of and back into the physical body may ensue for a period of a few days before the final exit. In these graduated processes of passing, the person is in a heightened state and will often see angels, guides, and loved ones who have already passed over. This process is often chosen in order to remove fear of dying. In a manner of speaking, this allows for a series of reconnaissance sorties, of brief, near-death exploratory forays to allow the transitioning person to release trepidation and realize there is nothing to dread. Those who have had near-death experiences generally find that these provide not only a great sense of peace, but an environment of such light and blissful well-being that there is a reluctance to return to the physical realm. Once that threshold is crossed, an automatic transition occurs, and one rises into a higher state. And the higher states have many levels that correspond to dimensional fields. After-death dimensions are, in essence, frequential barriers that are perhaps better understood as differing vibrational intensities of psychological states. Most of you will immediately realize the transition of your passing. You will be quite delighted to realize you are still conscious, even though dead in physical terms. Many of you will be overjoyed to comprehend that you are still you. Your inner narrator and observer of experience will be the same one you had in the recently completed physical sojourn. You will retain the full cognizance of your lifetime, and these memories will be focal and immediately accessible for a period of time. You will be able to communicate with others that were important in the completed lifetime. You will, of course, realize you are no longer in your physical body. You will find yourself in another form, an image that will appear physical to you, but you will quickly learn that you cannot operate within the physical system with it in the same way you did while living. The differences between it and the physical body will become obvious, as you are not seen by the living and are able to pass through physical matter. You may have to relearn certain laws of behavior, for you may not immediately realize the creative potency and locomotive attributes of your thoughts or emotions in the new environment. You may be astounded to find yourself in 5 different environments simultaneously, with no idea at first of the reason behind the situation. In the beginning, you may see no sequential continuity to movement and feel flung from one place to another with no rhyme or reason, quite literally shifting from one experience to another. You may not initially realize that your thoughts are propelling you as fast as you think them. So immediately following death, there are stages of relearning navigation and adjusting to a new set of mental physics. There will be a phase in which you closely review the fabric of the recently completed physical experience. However, after this review, you will find another natural expansion occurs. A gradual soul meld ensues in which you become integrated with your other lifetimes and with other aspects of not only your earthly sojourns, but of other realities. When this expansion transpires, the soul identity will naturally become greater and your etheric form will shift. You may choose an appearance that correlates to a different lifetime, or a soul-body framework that encompasses all of your experiences. Anomalies. Now, there are rare circumstances in which one may die in a sudden, unexpected circumstance, such as an accident, in which death occurs so abruptly that there is a very brief period of confusion. However, this is infrequent and usually only occurs if the person is overly attached to the physical life and cannot let go. Generally, this is in lesser developed souls who feel they did not complete their goals, or souls who became so attached to their particular lifetime for various reasons that they cannot accept the transition. In very rare cases, one may, after death, so firmly refuse to accept that death has occurred that they desperately focus emotional energy toward re-entering the physical form. In other similar scenarios, one who has been obsessed with a particular goal or ongoing uncompleted project, for example, may try to complete it for a time before they accept that their earthly sojourn has ended. So even in such cases, the obvious eventually becomes quite clear. Guided meditation provides for intervention when necessary to redirect the confused actions. And masters, be aware that there are indeed guides to help each of you fully understand your situation in passing. Most of you will enter in clarity, and when one enters without disorientation, you are very often greeted by family and friends who have passed over before you. There is a sense of comfort and euphoric recognition of this realm that exudes a sense of well-being. You will be able to rest if rest is desired or required. The resting phase is one of great expansion in which an ambiance of ecstasy occurs. Often there is a feeling of floating in a field of bright white light lined with extraordinary vivid colors. In this phase, you will be in a blissful state and adapt more easily into the understanding of the separation that has occurred. But you will still be able to focus thought to the earth plane. You will discover that thought takes you quickly to whomever and wherever you focus. You may visit with friends and relatives, revisit the past, greet childhood friends, and travel seamlessly through space and time. You may revisit your childhood, view yourself as a young child surrounded by family at Christmas, or walk down the halls of your high school as it existed 60 years earlier. You will realize that there is no lag time between the manifestation of any idea or thought and its initial conception as there is in physical life. You will delightfully explore these dream-like phenomena, but in real validity, in clear lucidity. There are ways to become familiar with the realities and dimensions of the afterlife while you are living on the earth plane. This will be briefly discussed in this sharing. Now, it is important for you to understand that no one dies without choosing to do so. The higher self ever makes the decision. Therefore, no one dies before their time. Yet there can be the sense of an unfinished life, so to speak, when the chosen life lessons selected by you were for one reason or another not completed. Continual growth. Dear ones, the descriptions of after-death experience are indeed varied somewhat according to each individual's system of belief and light quotient. These may seem very complicated, particularly if you have been used to a dogmatic belief in eternal paradise, hell or heaven, or an eternal rest. In truth, those with a strong belief in religious teachings will often initially create an immediate imagery of saints and white light that corresponds with their spiritual programming. Interestingly, this allows for a smoother transition in comparison to one who does not, for example, believe in an afterlife. But to be clear, death is not an eternal resting place. There is not a heaven with streets of gold or a demonic torment of a lake of fire, and there is no infinite void, although you may briefly experience hallucinations of these if you strongly believe in them. Even so, these will be short-lived visions, and as we have stated, there are guides and guardians, an orientation team in a manner of speaking, to assist those that need helpful instruction and direction in adapting to the afterlife. The orientation entourage is advanced souls that are both living and dead. Those members that are still in physical life perform this service in out-of-body phase while the physical body sleeps. They are adept with the trans-dimensional projection processes of consciousness. The assisting guides that are still living in earthly sojourns are particularly helpful because they have a more immediate understanding of the feelings and emotions of the current time and of the current earth realities that the departed soul just exited. Such persons may or may not have a memory of their nightly activities. These guides understand the many sensations involved, and they aid in the orientation of those who are initially confused in the immediate phases of passing over. Generally speaking, an old soul, in your terms, one that has experienced many levels of consciousness training and a higher number of earthen lifetimes, will not be confused or disoriented in the transition from physical to non-physical. Preparatory exercises. There are activities that you can undertake while living in physical that will prepare you for the realms of the afterlife. Accordingly, those of you who have made concerted efforts in the physical plane to learn out-of-body projections through deep meditation, fasting, vision questing, lucid dreaming, and yogic breathing and shamanic journeying will be more familiar with the afterlife environment. Such experiences with consciousness expansion into multidimensional realms are therefore quite beneficial in preparations for the physical death transition. All of you in physical life can consciously learn to navigate multidimensionality in these disciplines and learn the nuances of the after-death realms. This is very helpful in preparation for passing over. You will know what to expect, as you will better understand the conditions of timelessness and thought navigation. With a bit of effort, each of you willing to take the time to self-program can learn to have lucid dreams. By self-programming, we mean simply that. Create the intent to remember your dreams. Focally meditate toward it before you sleep, giving yourself the willful and persistent suggestion. You will be amazed at the result. Those of you who have mastered the Merkana crystalline light body will have experienced these realms, and in after death will follow the same process to the degree of your light quotient. This is taught in the Metatronic keys. In truth, the realms that are achieved in Merkana are the realms of the afterlife. You enter these often in nightly dream states, but rarely are able to remember them after waking. Now, separation from the physical, as we have said, does vary to some degree with the individual, but there are certain commonalities that all of you will encounter. There is an enhanced ability and freedom to more fully understand your own reality, to develop your abilities further, and to feel more deeply and indeed clearly comprehend the nature of your own multidimensional existence as a part of all that is. Reviewing what happens at death. We will now review in greater detail certain important talking points, some of which were touched upon earlier in this channel, but are worthy of re-mentioning and quite important for you to comprehend. Masters, at the point of your transition from physical, you will exit the corporeal body, and as we have stated earlier, you will immediately find yourself in another body. You will discover yourself to be the same etheric form in which you travel in dreams and in out-of-body projections. It will feel quite comfortable and indeed familiar to you, because in truth, each of you leaves the physical body each night during sleep. This body may seem physical, but you will quickly realize your new after-death body offers many more attributes in this new environment. Most of you will choose initially to appear as you did in physical life, but in a more robust format. Most select to appear as they did in their peak physical years. You will travel instantly, timelessly, by thought. For example, if you think of a loved one in Virginia, you will immediately be in their presence. You will be able to communicate with them telepathically. However, they will not be, in most cases, capable of seeing you or of physically hearing you. They will receive the communication subconsciously and may or may not recognize the source of the thought transmission. You will not be seen by those still in the physical body, however. After death, when you project your consciousness by thought into the physical realm, you will be in etheric form, ghostly in your terms. But we will add as an item of interest that many members of the animal kingdom, including any pets you may have had, will be able to see you quite clearly. You may in fact be given a very enthusiastic welcome by your dogs and cats as you enter the home in which your family and pets still reside on the earth plane. This is, generally speaking, the phase in which you rediscover the amazing attributes of your new form and abilities of thought movement. You will delightfully find that you can do anything in mental process. You will be able to fly in the same way you fly in dream state. You will be able to easily pass through solid objects, be this walls, buildings, or mountains. You will move directly by your will, taking you from one location to another, to one person or another through thought. In this early phase, you may even choose to explore the planet, both on the surface and through its interior. The Devic projections of the plant and mineral kingdom will be visible to you in the astral planes of the planet. There is, of course, a dreamlike quality to this process in the beginning. In most cases after death, people choose to remain rather closely connected to the earth plane for a few weeks after passing, before moving higher. In this timing, a completion of sorts occurs, in which you choose to communicate with many of those who played important roles in your lifetime. Keep in mind that time as you think of it does not exist in the non-physical realm, so you will not be aware of linear passing of time after death. While most of the close association and direct contact to the earth plane immediately after death takes place in what would be measured on the earth as 4 to 6 weeks, you will be in now time and totally oblivious to sequential chronology. In other words, it will seem to you as very brief in a natural flow of thought and space in a timeless scenario. In this way, it is possible for certain individuals to remain in this state for months, even years, depending on their need for communication and completion. However, this is not the norm. It will not be a surprise to you to know that most of you will etherically attend your own wakes and funerals. Many who have near-death experiences and then return to physical life speak of their entire lives flashing before their eyes. This is something of a misunderstood translation between subconscious dream state and ego frontal brain interpretation. More accurately described, your physical life can indeed be observed on the other side of the veil from birth to old age, but this takes place in a carefully studied review, not in a rapid flash. This is a chosen review, normally attended with the help of guides, on a higher plane than the one initially entered after death. All of you will have this experience, but you will be able to choose the key parts in which to not only study, but to relive based on your discretion. In many cases, the soul will select areas in which erroneous actions were taken. You will then be guided into reviewing alternative responses to understand what could have taken place and how it would have brought about an improved outcome. A deep learning occurs herein. This is what your religious texts refer to as the judgment. However, in this state, there are not the emotions of guilt and torment, for on this level, you are above the personality as you think of it. You review these from a higher state of self, which is detached in a manner of speaking, almost as a third person observing. This occurs in what may be considered as a training center. But to be clear, it is a psychological dimension or state, not a place in the way you think of space in the physical dimension. Once you complete this phase, you will have the choice of whether or not you choose to return, to reincarnate. There are many alternative choices available to you. If you choose not to reincarnate into the Earth cycle, there are myriad other universes and galaxies that offer incredible experiences of learning. Most are quite different than what you have experienced in the Earth's solar system. Very few of these are physical realities. Those of you in highly advanced states may connect to other realms, including those of Arcturus, the Pleiades, and the binary system of Sirius. The cosmos is literally teeming with life, though the three just mentioned are in truth quite familiar to you and have been closely involved since Mu and Atlantis with the Earth system and cycle. Many of you coexist within these in a higher stage of light format, in photonic life form. You will then decide if you have completed duality or not, and those that have not will begin preparing for their return. Most souls have spacing between lives according to the reincarnational cycles of those with whom they have past relationships. Generally speaking, a period of 20 to 40 years occurs here before the choice to re-enter is fixed. But we must again clarify that time or timelessness on the other side is difficult for you to comprehend in physical senses that are attuned to sequential linear time. Your timing of return is based to no small degree on the return choices of those you wish to interact with on the earth plane. In this process, a plurality state of communication occurs in which agreements and intricate planning takes place. Herein there is recognition of other souls and soul groups in duality, for whom relationships are chosen to be completed or balanced, as well as the choosing of family and the choice of lessons for growth. You will select the astrological patterning that will best allow you to grow. Those souls who have chosen to return to duality will absolutely spend training time in the non-physical frequencies of the other planets within your solar system. The soul journey on the earth plane is the testing ground or university of duality, but it is only a part of the soul completion. Each of you will spend time on all of the spheres in your chosen solar system curriculum. This usually occurs in the afterlife, in preparation for the next stage, the next level of reincarnation. However, it may also partially occur while in physical life during sleep. Each of you absolutely exit the body into what may be termed the afterlife state each night when you enter deeper stages of sleep, although very few of you retain lucid memory of this in waking state. Choosing the soul pattern. Dear human, do not consider the afterlife studies on the stars and planets as folklore, nor as untruth. What is learned by the soul in each realm, each sojourn, must be effectively constructed and expressed optimally through action on the earthen lifetimes. Soul growth must be demonstrated in thought and deed, through successful manifestation of will into physical reality. The correct and most appropriate pattern must then be carefully selected from the innumerable arrangements of stars and planets, which represent soul patterns. The signs of the zodiac are 12 fundamental patterns from which the soul chooses when coming into the earth plane for a new incarnation. They are patterns representing optimal temperament, personality, and mental attunement. The gender, race, and physical body is also chosen, as these are an objectification of the soul pattern, a reflection of the progressive individuality of the soul in the next planned earthen experience. What we share herein has been known by many more advanced societies, including those of Mu, the Atlantean Law of One, Egypt, and Greece. After the emerging dominance and control of your fear-based patriarchal religions, the teachings went underground, so to speak, and were taught only within secretive enclaves. In your known history, it was taught by Plato and Pythagoras. In more recent times by Edgar Cayce, who was indeed the reincarnation of Pythagoras, an aspect of the essence of the Egyptian Ra-Ta. As we have told you on many occasions, the earth plane is the university of duality. The earth realm is, however, only a part of the course. There are other realms of the afterlife associated with your solar system that feed directly into the duality free will experience of the physical realm. The duality earth is uniquely and succinctly free will, and choices made by each individual entity are completely dominant in the manifestation and creatorship purposes of this cause and effect realm. Only on Earth does three-dimensional life exist in your solar system. In the afterlife realms, Some measure of guidance is available to each entity as progression is made. Such guidance is by teachers, some of whom you may think of as ascended masters and angelics. This is chosen in free will with each of your higher aspects, the Oversoul itself. Those of you who think the afterlife is without challenges must think again. There is always effort required, but there are motivational forces innate within the nature of consciousness that allow for this advancement. You will in fact sense a powerful natural desire, a deep yearning for these learnings. The soul has a deep-seated wish to grow, and all souls are so driven, so inclined. It is an innate and natural part of the return to all that is, to full creatorship. In this sense, this movement is a programming that may be termed as the soul's DNA. We also wish to add that learning to fully and robustly experience the vibration of happiness, balance, and well-being is an important aspect of completing the Earth cycle. This is contained and taught within the vibration aspects of Venus. So please do not consider that the Earth cycle is all work and no play, so to speak. Expressing joy and feeling deep vibrations of love is vitally important. In fact, approximately 1 out of 4 incarnations is chosen to focus on love, and such sojourns are spent among soul family with dedication to one another. Arcturus, in correlation to Venus, is chosen by many in artistic lifetime expressions, including music, art, and creative writing. The Earth Cycle Course. It is important to be clear that the reincarnational process involves 12 major learning centers. All of you will spend time in these before completing the Earth cycle. We title this cycle as the Earth cycle because Earth is, as said, the testing phase, in which the intensive aspects are put to the measure. So in this sense, Earth is the most important part of the curriculum and the one that must be mastered. These are listed herein in a very brief overview. Planetary aspectual intensives in Earth cycle development. 1. Mercury. Mind, mental development, communication. 2. Venus. Love, emotion, artistic expression, nurturing. 3. Earth. Responsible creation, the testing ground. 4. Mars. Emotional temperament, force. 5. Jupiter. Strength, leadership, wisdom, confidence. 6. Saturn. Spiritual purification, crucible. 7. Uranus. Psychic, intuitive chakric glandular development. 8. Neptune. Mystical studies of the nature of reality. 9. Pluto. Mastering adversity. 10. Moon. Balancing, removal of doubt, feminine balance. 11. Sun. Vitality, spirit, masculine balance. 12. Arcturus. Entry-exit, life force creative expression. It should be noted that the moons of Saturn and Jupiter, as well as the Earth moon as shown above, are also a portion of the study for the frequencies of their planetary aspects. There are 7 levels in Mercury, 4 in Venus, and 5 in Jupiter. In truth, each of the planets and stars incorporate many levels that can be considered as degrees, and these vary somewhat according to the needs and requirements of each soul's progression. Saturn is very complex and contains the greatest variation. The course available on Saturn involves removal of incorrect patterns, a purification of incorrect beliefs and tendencies, including those that have repeated as severe obstacles and formed a pattern of grossly heinous misaction in the purposed illusion of the Earth plane testing experience. In some extreme cases, a soul will be fully rebooted in the crucible of Saturn. In this way, souls who may have committed great atrocities in the Earth phase can find new beginnings. In this process, the rings of Saturn serve to modulate the varying intensities required to form the new template within the Earth cycle. In this way, no soul is ever lost. Even the most egregious can find their way home in the immaculate grace of God. The after-death environments in which you will train are non-physical frequential formats of the celestial bodies referenced within your solar system, and as stated, Arcturus is an integral part of this, even though it is exceptional in the sense that Arcturus is outside the physical realm of your specific solar system. Mastery guilds and time travelers. There are many guilds of guides associated in the assistance of developing worlds, including your own. There are fully ascended souls that have completed the Earth cycle that choose to manifest bodies for specific purposes that include inserting scientific information, inventions, philosophies, government, literature, art, and music at certain key intervals within linear time and space. These are geniuses in your terms and include souls like Pythagoras, Tesla, Einstein, Socrates, Plato, Isaac Newton, and many, many others. They may enter full physical lives with normal birth, or manifest in some cases by agreement in the format you think of as walk-ins. But it should be noted that true walk-ins are very rare. Many humans who consider themselves walk-ins have experienced an internal quickening into a higher state of self, and no independent soul exchange occurred. Those that specialize in influencing the flow of events may be termed as envoys from the future and are masters of space-time manipulation. These specialized masters enter to help navigate the course of probable reality into manifest reality at key junctures of civilization. Time on your planet occurs in hologramic programs. There are beings that are geniuses in your terms that have developed the specialized ability to enter in and out of space-time, somewhat in the same manner as some of your sci-fi movies and television programs have depicted in Quantum Leap. This has been discussed in earlier channels. The nature of time and space, antimatter stealth energy. You must understand that in the cosmos, physicality is the exception and not the rule. Your own academics are aware to some degree that dark matter and dark energy, as you term them, make up over 95% of the cosmos. Matter occurs in spectrums, as does light, so it may be difficult for you to grasp this concept. But these centers, while planetary, do not take up space in the way you think of space as being a place with a specific location. So as you develop spacecraft to physically explore some of these planets, they will appear quite lifeless to you. This is the result of your own misinterpretations of the spectral nature of reality. These environments exist unperceived by you amid the physical world that you know. Your physical perceptive mechanisms are simply not capable of tuning in to their frequential ranges. Vastly more realities coexist within your own, and at death, you enter into the other side of the veil, the non-physical side of the torus, and are automatically tuned into different fields, and react to other laws of physics pertinent to these other realities, realities that are unperceived with the very limited scope of physical sensory. However, from the other side, you can to some extent perceive back into physical reality, but not be physical. And as we have said, entry back into physical realms are at a different frequency, and you will be ghostly in your terms. You would be quite invisible, unable to be seen, and unable to manipulate physical matter. There are energy fields and energetic barriers that do indeed separate you. There is a science to all of this. It is not magic. It is dimensional physics, which is a science matter understood by advanced societies of your past, but not yet understood in your present. Completing the Earth cycle. Now, we wish to clarify that reincarnation into the complete phases of the Earth cycle is necessary to complete the Earth cycle. But there is the choice to exit into other realms of mastery outside the Earth cycle. All entries and exits of this cycle occur through Arcturus. If you have completed the Earth cycle and mastered duality, you may choose to remain within the system as a teacher or guide. Or you may choose to move into a greater intensity and learn creatorship on a much, much larger scale. When the Earth cycle is finished, the information, experience, and abilities you have so diligently garnered are available to you for other applications. Accordingly, the options are far more diverse than those available to undergraduate souls who must still reincarnate in Earth's cycle. Oneness with all that is. There is the ultimate potential and goal to become absorbed into, to join with the supreme consciousness of that you term God. In this sense, you merge into plurality consciousness within all that is. But even so, an aspect of your individuality, your memories, your lifetimes and various sojourns, will be retained within a portion of you. Nothing disappears. Those personality aspects will still exist in what may be thought of as living, dynamic, ongoing memory in a different compartment, somewhat in the same way your computer stores data. In avatar level, you are a composite of all levels of the self, you see. Once you obtain this ultimate level, there are opportunities, means in which to operate in cosmic scale creatorship. The amount of knowledge and training necessary makes such an Elohim avatar communicator career extremely demanding. But it is one of the ultimate graduate courses available to you. The process of learning such information necessarily adds to the development and abilities of the soul. A delicate manipulation of energy is required, and a constant travel through dimensions. Once such a choice is made, training immediately begins, always under the leadership of a guild of master beings that from your perspective may be considered as Elohim or archangels. But again, cosmic creatorship is a vastly complex subject, and advanced far above and beyond the level of Earth cycle where you are now. There are opportunities to become guides and teachers within your Earth system. These include some advanced souls on the cusp of graduation in their final reincarnations, and your system does of course contain other entities who have graduated Earth cycle and have been chosen to help those still within it. You will be afforded the opportunity to teach if you have the inclination and the light quotient requisite. But as we have stated, multidimensional teaching is far more than teaching as you know it now, and it demands extremely rigorous training that in your terms of time takes eons upon eons. The pathway leads such a teacher into many realms of reality, far more complex than those previously mastered in the Earth cycle. In your contemporary religious terms, this would be explained as companioning with Creator God. The Master-Creator roles in oneness with God can be quite specialized. Some, as those of us in what may be termed the Metatronic realm, form what can be simplistically explained as laws of physics, working to both formulate new dimensions of actuality and maintaining expansions within existing ones, using geometrics and sacred geometry, forming the base matrix of new worlds, and imparting knowledge in as many forms as possible. And I do not mean physical forms. What you would call time is manipulated as an artist would use color. What you would call space is gathered together in extraordinary ways. Closing. Dear ones, our subject matter may seem rather extraordinary and complex, even somber, but that is not our intent, nor should it be your reaction or conclusion after hearing our words. What lies before you is beautiful beyond your imagination, extraordinary in its magnificence. Words are inadequate to describe the utterly astonishing, exquisite realms. So we tell you to savor the time, seize the moments of your life, enjoy the beautiful aspects of your earth, for indeed the earth plane is truly extraordinary in its sublime beauty. And when you pass over, you will have an immediate sense of exactly how astonishingly beautiful life is. You will be grateful for every precious breath you have taken. Even though life will have challenges, at your time of transition, you will be bathed in a deep sense of appreciation. We of the angelic realm are here to assist you. We are family members reaching out, offering you a hand. But we are not here to solve your problems for you. To do so would undermine your own growth on your path of mastery. We ask you to take a moment and sense, really sense the magnificent light and energy of your being, and to recognize that life and death are part of the same process. The two are facets of the same reality. You will live many, many lives, and never be again the exact personality, the exact expression that you are now. And yet, it becomes part of the integral self that will never end, and you will always be a part of it. So remember to love yourself and bask in joy, for it is available to you now, for you are a magnificent being, a divine aspect of all that is. After passing, you can look backward toward reincarnational lives, but they are only a part of the grand and grander you. Life on earth is a credential, a chosen course. It is not a punishment, not a fall from grace. It is a university chosen by courageous souls who agree to enter wearing filters. It is an involution leading to a truly glorious evolution. When you leave the physical system after completing the Earth cycle and finish the cycle of physical reincarnation, you will have learned the lesson. And when this occurs, you are, in a manner of speaking, no longer a member of the human race, for you have graduated the University of Duality. Yet that specialized aspect of your conscious self remains within it, just as other portions of your identity dwell simultaneously within other training systems. In more advanced systems, thoughts and emotions are automatically and immediately translated into action, into whatever approximation of matter there exists. Therefore, the lessons, the experience, are ever a part of you. Masters, please know your spirit merged into flesh by choice to master the incredible realm of duality, to learn creatorship. And it is an extraordinary credential to experience such a world of incredible richness, to help create a reality of colors, music, and of form. Your spirit was born into biology to enrich a marvelous area of sensual awareness, to feel energy made into physical form. You are here to use, enjoy, and express yourself through the body, mind, and soul. These, as a trinity, interweave into oneness. So we urge you to seize the day, find joy, discover well-being, and know that every choice you make determines the life you live. I am Metatron, and I share with you these truths. And so it is, and it is so.